week to go and do in an activity, something that puts you into more social groups, social spaces.
Okay.
So I think that's really good. Hmm. What else? I this is one that I don't talk about often, but I should definitely talk about it more. It's down to faith, but it's removing your negative outlook on men.
Okay.
You're smiling because you're like, girl, I gotta work on that too. I get it.
Uh-huh.
Some of us have been so brutalized, hurt, traumatized by men that we actually have a distaste for them at our core.
Oh, definitely.
Mm.
And because of that, it manifests itself into the type of men that we attract. I already think that men ain't, they're crap, they're not this, they're not that. So therefore, I actually am manifesting that and attracting more men that align with my belief about them anyway.
Mm.
So and this was very hard. In 2020, after my other bad relationship, I had to say to myself, there's a good man out there, and I'm going to wait as long as it takes for him to get here.
Yeah.
And once I started saying that to myself on a daily basis, I started seeing more good men. I started attracting more good men. And literally, I also told myself, and you say this a lot, and I actually appreciate that you say this. You say that not everyone's calling is to marriage.
Mm-hmm.
I told myself in 2020, before my husband popped up, I said, God, if my calling is not to marriage, then I'm accepting of that. If it's not meant for me, then I'm accepting of that. I'm no longer going to keep the bar so low that I'm attracting all these crappy men. I
Yes.
am now going to raise the bar on what I am requiring of my partner, and I am not going to adjust that bar even a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So you also want to set your dating standards and stand hard on those
Oh,
dating
definitely.
standards.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes when you're willing to settle, you're never going to actually be able to attract a man that meets the bar that you actually want because you've lowered it so far and
Mm-hmm.
everyone has access to that bar. So when you stand hard on those dating standards and those principles and those values, you no longer attract men that fall below that bar. So stand true on your bar, manifest, accept that if marriage is not your calling, then you're still going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's also when desperation comes in. Some of us are so desperate for marriage. We're so desperate for a partner that we'll accept anything.
Oh, yeah.
And
Just to say
that
you got a
also
man.
doesn't help.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take any man at this point.
Mm-hmm.
When you have that type of thinking, oh honey, the universe is going to send you just any man.
Oh, yeah. He gonna come along.
He gonna come along easily. So stand hard on your dating standards.
I have so many questions about this.
Man, let
Uh,
me say this real quick first, though, bro. I will always say this because we hear it so often. If you are a person to say that is piss and shit in the dating pool, you are literally one of the people that's pissing and shitting in the dating pool. So I will stand firm on that every single time, all day, every day. If that is your perception of what is going on in the dating pool, then you are literally contributing to that very shit and piss that you're complaining about. Go ahead, bro.
yeah, the part that I have so many questions about, like, okay, don't get me wrong. I think that a lot of the things that she presented initially were good. You know what I'm saying? I thought they were a pretty good, solid approach. It was a very positive approach, right? But the things that she says is kind of too much fluff. And this is why I tend to have an issue when certain women like her who have a platform and a voice, right, don't really qualify what they're saying. And sort of like, if you're saying that your dating standards are high, how do you qualify that? What is your dating standard? What does that look like? What is even the universal, basic, foundational starting block for most women for their dating standards? Because what I tend to kind of hear, keep it in concert with this whole evening's conversation, it's never rooted in a family oriented base It's not rooted in a communal kind of communal uh base of thinking, right? It's not really rooted in the religious sort of faith based perspective, for some at least, right? It tends to kind of be more about experiences in kind of tangible things. So when I ask people like, "Oh, my standards are high," my dating standards requirements are high. And I'm like, okay, can you qualify that for me? Why? What is that? What does that look like? Because if you're looking for a man to be a gentleman, to be consistent, to be thorough, to stand on principle, to have a backbone, to be hardworking, be hard ambitious, etc., etc. There's a lot of those men out here at all different tiers of their life. But I think in terms of the general universal blocks, right, where we're starting that, I think a lot of men are that. I think in terms of the extra, the toppings, right? You put the sprinkles in the half a dozen, strawberries and all these other things on top. A lot of people are not that, and a lot of people don't come with that. So you need to qualify what that looks like so people understand whether they qualify for you or they want to sign up for whatever that is. Because a lot of people, unfortunately, they might like you, they might gravitate you, but you have this unrealistic expectation that that person doesn't know yet about you, that you have not divulged to them because you're still trying to operate in the mystery and the know. And that to me is not dating intentionally. And that right there is not a clear path to marriage.
Yeah.
You need to have open and honest conversations about what that is and what that looks like.
Oh yeah. And that's why I said early on with the expectations can be extremely it can be a person's biggest enemy. Because if you're not having that conversation with this person, or you're not letting them know verbatim, you know what I'm saying, what it is that you're expecting, shit, they'll never know. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those, and in many cases, we assume that a person would know, but I think we all forget again, and we expect for people to come perfect. We expect for people to to be in the know without us having that discussion. Or even shit, if we did have that discussion, it wasn't us going into depth of what it is that's going to be expected, if I put you in this position. So it's communication is key at the end of the day, for sure. And intention.